So let's say your students have completed an assessment or assessments and you wish to start using the data to find areas that interventions could take place. You would come to the Performance tab, and when you come here, the default is grouping by student and highest score. You can always go to latest score, which would indicate the results of the last time the students have been assessed on each standard. To see the different strands and standards, if you expand on the student, you come to the strand level. From the strand level, you can go down to the standard level and see how each student is doing. Now, this is a little bit possibly overwhelming when you're looking at all the students. If you have 25, 30 students per class and you have to do a lot of expanding. So we'd like to show you how you can identify these standards and areas of intervention a little bit quicker. So we're going to leave grouping by student. We'll leave latest score here. We're going to select term 1. We're going to leave student names blank, and we're going to go to our high school expectations. We're going to use biology, and I know that one of the strands I was testing is here, and from here I can now run the filter, and I narrow it down a little bit more. I'm still expanding on the students, but I'm now down to one strand, and I can look at the standards under those strands. I can take it a step further, and I can go to 3.1a, and I can run that filter, and now I'm down to just 2 students who have assessed onto the assessed that standard, and I can open this up and I can expand a little bit further. However, notice there's really no need, because it's just one standard which will match the same score you see up here. In this case, I notice that Mike Poblowski is doing just fine, and it's George Smith who I may need to provide some interventions for. We can do similar filtering if we're looking for a specific student by just selecting that student's name, selecting the standards we're going to use, and then of course the domain will give you a broader overview of how that student's doing. So here is student Tim, and we can see the 2 different strands, and now we can dive into the standards that he's assessed in each of those strands. We of course can always come through this level and narrow down if we know that we're looking at a specific student and a specific standard. And in this case, if I get no results, that means that the student has not been assessed on that standard yet. However, I do know that he has been assessed on this one, and in this case, this is the one that he did not do well on. So those are a couple ways to filter down to standards a little bit quicker. I'm going to show you another way to look at it. By clearing the filter, I'm going to now come and group by domain. When we group by domain, it gives you the score that the class has, and it defaults to the first standard in each of the strands. So if you want to get to other strands, then you're going to use the filtering tool. So we can come here, select term 1, and leave students blank. We're going high school expectations. We just want to look at biology this time, and then we are going to look at strand of interdependence. We're going to run that filter, and overall my class is not doing too well. If I wish to see specifics, I can now expand here, and this is a quick way to identify which students will need intervention with a lot less expanding and collapsing from our very first page that we saw when we came to the Performance tab. You can of course select a very specific standard and narrow it down even further. Although in this case this is the only standard underneath the strand, so there is no need to do that. If we look at a different area, we can demonstrate how that would look. Here I went to genetics, and I'm going to select a different standard. I can stay in my domain level, and I can run filter here, and now I can see just that standard, or I can go to the other genetic standard that we are testing, which is B4.3E. Pardon me, it must have been A. And I can look at the standards there. So that's just another quick way to see how your class is doing on standard, as well as a quick way to find which students need help on those specific standards. We don't currently have a filter by assessment, but that will be something that we'll be looking at adding soon. So you can drop down the filter, find the assessment, and that will help you identify the specific standards that were just tested upon. I hope this has helped, and please feel free to provide your feedback.